This is standard Hindi. Plurals. How do you say one girl, two girls, one boy, two boys? And I'm going to give you an easy shortcut in this module on how you can quickly learn these plurals and move on and say some good sentences. Let's get going. Let's now start looking at plurals. So plurals are obviously important and there are some shortcuts I'm going to tell you. But before that, as usual, as we do in our classes as well, let's work on the background. Okay, so let's see how to make plurals. Let's try to understand this idea. There are two types of plurals, masculine and feminine. So let's see how we can make them. So for the masculine, usually the masculine words are gonna end with an a sound, the ah sound, and you might have seen this before. Ladka, right? Another one here is kutta. Ladka, of course, means boy, and kutta means dog, right? Now, what do you do to this? So I'm just gonna put this here. You drop the a sound and add the e over here, so, right? Like this. So ladka, drop the ah sound and add the e sound. Ek ladka, do ladke. It might help you to repeat it, say it out loud. This way you'll remember better if you'd like. Ek ladka, do ladke, which means one boy, two boys. And this is the only thing you want to memorize. You just keep memorizing this over the week and you will remember it. It just works like magic. Okay, next one. One dog, two dogs. How do you do this? Ek kutta, dog is kutta, so kutta becomes kutte. Right? Simple, super easy. Remember, this is only for boy dogs because we're only looking at masculine right now, right? One more very important part of the room, of the house, is a room. So, ek kamra. Kamra means room, and it becomes do kamre. Again, all you're doing is the a becomes a. Here, super easy for you, I think. How can you try one horse, two horses? Horse is ghoda. Ghoda. Now, see if you can say, how can you say ek ghoda and what's the other one? Yes, I think you got it. Very nice. How about one samosa, two samosas? Easy. Ek samosa. And then how can you pluralize it? Very nice. Post your answers in the comments if you'd like. This way you will also have the writing memory. Okay, let's move on. Super, super easy, right? Let's work on feminine now. Now, the feminine words have an E ending to it, like this I ending, but of course it sounds like ladki. Ladki. Right? So what do you do is you just add the ya at the end. Just this part, just add this, as easy as that, right? Just add this at the end, so you will have plurals. So one girl, two girls becomes ek ladki, do ladkiyan. Right? Ek ladki, do ladkiyan. Very nice. Now see if you can try this one. One girl cat and two girl cats. How can you say this? Ek billi, do billiyan. Ek billi, do billiyan. Right? Super easy to work on this way. How can you say one car, two cars? Ek gaadi, do gaadiyan. Right? Gaadi is a car and this becomes gaadi. Yeah. Note that there's a slight nasalization here and that will come later, but for now you just memorize it this way. You'll remember it much better, and when you say it, everybody will be able to understand you. This is how we say it anyway. Okay, now how can you say one roti? Remember, why is this feminine? Because it's got the E ending. That's the idea. Masculine mostly has the I ending, feminine has the E ending. So this part here, roti, like this, roti, right? One roti, two rotis. How can you say it? Ek roti do? I think you got it. And one more is an important word here, kursi. Kursi means a chair. How can you say one chair, two chairs? Very nice. I think you got it. Okay, so this is what practice you need every time in our classes. Also, we keep doing this practice, which will help you to reinforce and understand what you've done before. Otherwise, you might just forget it, right? Let's try this one. For masculine now, the exceptions, right? We already know masculine is ladka becomes ladke. You know this, easy. The a becomes a here, like this, right? But what happens if it does not end in a? If it does not end in a, what are you going to do? This is the idea. This is how you do it. One house becomes two houses. So ek ghar becomes do ghar. Okay, this is not super important for you to memorize. I'm going to give you a shortcut at the end of this session. How would you do this? But ek ghar becomes do ghar, right? Now let's try this one. For feminine, ek ladki, do ladkiyan. Right? Ek ladki becomes do ladkiyan. You know this. But what if the word doesn't end in E, like ladki, right? An example, a good example is woman. Woman is aurat, aurat. And then what would you do? Two women is aurati. This is the new idea for you. Aurate, aurate. right? So now you try it. For masculine, like suppose I told you masculine, one newspaper is ek akhbar. How can you say two newspapers? It's the same because it's masculine and it doesn't have an e ending. It's the same, right? So now for feminine, you know this word is behen. Behen, obviously sister means feminine, right? So how can you use this idea? One sister, two sisters, and I'm telling you this is ek behen. What is do? Yes, I think you got it. Very nice. Do behen nahi, right? Excellent. Okay, now there are a lot of things that we've done. We've done actually 4 parts. So to recap, what we did is ek ladka, if it's masculine, first of all, ek ladka becomes do ladke because it's got the I ending. But if it doesn't have any I ending, it'll remain the same. Now for the feminine, most of the words are going to have an E ending and then you would put a ya. But if it don't have an E ending, they just have this, then you put an A like this. So now when you're speaking, anytime people who work with me, they want to speak, they're always stuck with the plurals. So I'm going to give you an easy conversational shortcut. So 80% of the time, you're going to be super good on this. You don't have to think even one bit. This is the shortcut. And that's the whole idea I've written here. We want to focus on conversational grammar and express ourselves, right? So here's the easy shortcut. What's the shortcut? If anything ends in a and you think it's masculine, right, then you just make it a, like ladka becomes ladke, right? That's the first rule, right? Second rule, if anything ends in e and you know it's a woman word, right, then you put ladki ya. That's easy. And if it's anything else, just don't change it at all. Just don't change it. Don't worry if it's masculine or feminine because it's going to take you hours and hours to think about if it's masculine or feminine. Just move on with the conversation. Everybody is super accepting of who you are and all the Hindi that you're speaking. So just move on with this. Over time, you will amend it slightly. So this one is conversationally acceptable. You just say ek behan, do behan for now, even though it is slightly incorrect. It's okay to say this because this is not the most important part of Hindi. The most important part is, is to express yourself and say Hindi and connect with people. I think it's very obvious to you. That's the goal, right? So let's try it now. Let's see how would you say this. Ek bachcha. Bachcha means child, and this is the a ending. What would you do now? Yes, you would just pluralize it. Bachcha becomes bachche. Easy. Ek chabi. What would you do now? You don't even know what the gender is, but because this is the E, you put the Y-A, ya, right? And ek tamatar. This is a cool word. It means tomato. Again, you don't know the gender. No ending in A or E. Just leave it same as it is and move on, right? This is the fastest way to speak Hindi. All right, here it is. How would you say this part? One home, two homes. Ek ghar, do ghar, right? So remember all of these memorizers, and they have a lot of cool functionality here. It's all on our website and you can use it. And many learners who work with us, they have really moved very fast with this. You can even hear the audio on this. Okay, let's move on to the next one now. Two sons laugh. So do bete haste hai. The laugh is has, but the main part is beta becomes bete. Just imagine if you can memorize this, how quickly you can speak Hindi. You've got one home, two homes again, one boy, two boys, etc., etc., and so on and so forth. One chair, two chairs. So this way you will be able to understand Hindi and memorize it, practice it well. Note that you've got the answer key also right over here. Let's move on to the next topic, which is going to be adjectives. Adding on top of this, again, it's extremely easy. If you know plurals, adjectives is going to be very easy. Let's look at that topic now. Let's do some conversations with plurals now. Remember, this is just a small example of what happens in our live classes. It's much more organic, but we are trying to do how much ever we can in these recorded sessions. So let's try to say, for plurals, how can you first say the singular form, that boy? Wo ladka. That's that boy. And now you want to say, you point to that boy and say, who is that boy? So how can you say that? Yes, wo ladka kaun hai, right? Now, how can you make it more plural? How can you say plural? Say it in plural. Wo becomes, yes, wo becomes they. Who are those boys? Wo becomes ve. And remember, this is the idea that we said the a becomes a. Wo ladke kaun hai? Ve ladke kaun hai? Right? Now, how can you say they are my friends? You say वे मेरे friends है और वे मेरे दोस्त हैं. Right? This is how you can say this part. Now let's try one more. How can you say they are watching a movie? The word for watch, is dekh. So how can you say they're watching a movie? Right? Yes, we movie or picture dekh rahe hai. Exactly right. Okay. Now, what's going on in the movie? Maybe it's a cartoon, like a comedy movie, right? Kids movie. So how can you say in the film, in the movie, two cats are running? The word for run is dord. How can you say in the movie two cats are running? So you can say film mein or movie mein, right? Two cats. Cat is billi. Two girl cats is do billiya. Do billi. And then how can you say are running? Dord rahi hai. Right? Very nicely done. Let's try one more with girls. So ye, how can you say who is this girl? And this is ye. Ye ladki kaun hai? Right? This is how you can say who is this girl. How can you pluralize it? Who are these girls? Ye ladki. I think you know this. Add the ya. Ye ladkiyan kaun hai? Like this. Right? How can you say they are my sisters? So you can say ye Meri, there, ye, Meri is my, very important, and we'll look at this use of my very soon. Ye meri sisters hai, right? If you remember, sisters is behan. Ye meri behan hai, right? The exact way to say this, and we've done this in the classes, right? In the video, it's ye meri behane hai. Ye meri behane hai. Okay. Next one. How can you say my sisters are speaking Hindi? Meri sisters, meri behan or meri behan ne Hindi, and what's the word for speak is bol. How can you say this? My sisters are speaking Hindi. Pause the video, see if you want to say it. Meri behane Hindi bol rahi hai. Right? Now, next one. How can you say I am going to the beach on Sunday? So ja is go. Now we're combining some of the earlier ideas. That's the important part of the conversations. You want to use the other ideas on top of the current idea that you're learning. So how can you say this? I am going to the beach. The word for go is ja. Main beach ja rahi hu. Right? Main beach ja rahi hu. And then how can you say I'm going to the beach with my sister? So meri behan, with my single sister, meri behan ke saath. Now, if you want to say this part is going to come soon, how can you say with her, etc.? I'm going to just tell you real quick. With her, it's uske saath. With them is unke saath. So again, this happens in the conversations in our live classes. It's much more organic. You'll get it. But right now, we'll do how much ever we can. All right. Next one, we can say why. Why are you going to the beach? Kyo. Right? And then you don't want to answer it fully. You can just say it in parts. And I'll tell you how to say this. If you say for is ke liye means for. Right? This is another new idea you can use. Again, it's just a preposition. How can you say for swimming? So swimming ke liye. Right? So this is a good conversational feel. You're getting how things actually work. This is how you should speak, just bit by bit, and soon you'll be flying. You'll be speaking almost all of the Hindi very soon. Bit by bit, you just want to do it. Okay, let's try one more. You want to say Amit is eating rotis. So, or Amit eats rotis. Kha is eat. How can you say Amit eats a lot of rotis? A lot is bahut. How can you say Amit eats a lot of rotis? Amit rotiya kha. Hai. Hopefully you got this. And then bahut is here, a lot. Amit bahut rotiyan khata hai. Right? Amit eats a lot of rotis. Then how can you say how many rotis? The word for how many is kitni. So kitni rotiyan. How many rotis? And you want to say 7. Oh my goodness, he eats 7 rotis. So saat rotiyan. Right? Now that's a lot. So oh my goodness, the way we say this is baap re baap. This is again, you want to use expressions. Remember, expressions are very important for you to combine it with the usual Hindi. It makes it more organic. You end up sounding more Indian, more Hindi speaker style. Okay, so that's the idea for the plurals. Now you try to say something of this type. Let's say you're going out with multiple people, because this is the plurals topic. You're going out with your brothers, your friends, all of this, and or with your dogs, your cats, and then you're trying to do something. Also try to include the previous ideas, the present progressive, the present tense, right? I am going, I go, the time as well, tomorrow, day after, on Sunday. All of these ideas, combine it. Post your conversation snippet in the comments. Let's see how well you come up and what you can do with this. Let's move on now to the next interesting topic.